Captain Spish. She knew I helped dogs and saved their lives. That's confidence and strength in the dog world.
Teach me, oh wise one.
Because nothing learns through punishment. It learns through reward. And a lot of times I'm dealing with dogs no one else will help.
Oh my.
Every dog should have these basic skills.
Yeah, I mean, trust seems like the biggest step for any of this.
You defeat the energy. You pop that bubble of anxiety. We know you're scared. Here's what you do about your fear. That's true power in the dog world. Welcome to the Captain Spish Dog Behavior Podcast. I am Captain Spish. This is...
I was going to say, are you trying to channel your inner Kirk instead of, I am Captain Spish?
we come in peace for your dog.
Your ball terrier.
Your ball terrier.
There's something on the wing.
You know, there's something on the wing. The reason he did that was because he would actually periodically forget his lines.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, yes, that's the word.
But you know what? Hey, it works.
Hey, whatever. He's Shatner. He can do whatever he wants.
Exactly. So like you said, here we are with another episode.
Another episode of Captain Spish Dog Behavior. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, do all the other things, depending on what platform you're getting this from. I heard today that they can't find it on Apple, so I'll have to double check that.
Oh, is that because there's no windows to get in? That was terrible.
Did you make sure you peeled it first? It's hard to find anything in an apple until you peel it. Anyway, why are you on Apple anyway? Android's where it's at. That comment down below.
Yeah.
You Apple people.
Down. Yep. Absolutely.
Well, anyway.
Apples to apples.
So, since this episode we will predict is going to be released around Valentine's Day. Is it Valentine's Day? Valentine's Day?
It probably depends on how many people you're seeing.
Are you my Valentine or are you my Valentine's?
With a Z or is S?
I don't know. It's Z for me.
Let's do a couple of Z's so that people know we're not messing around.
Hold on. My one mic is getting stuck in my other mic.
Mic on mic action here.
I got these corded things because I'm a millennial. I'm too old to have a wireless. Actually, I have wireless ones over there. I just don't know how many.
Are we actually considered millennials?
Oh, yeah. I'm building 83, 86.
87.
Just this close.
Just a wee bit.
Most of the cars I've owned were from 86. The other, I've owned two 83s, two 86s. Yeah. I've owned a lot of cars, actually.
So,
anyway,
yes,
this is not the car, the podcast. But anyway, Valentine's Day. So, Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day.
I'm doing that right.
Yeah, got to double check because we're old.
Yeah.
How does the dog love? Does the dog love dog style?
I mean, it could, but if you're loving your dog that style, you might want to not say anything to people in public. I think. I mean, that's
I think that's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, we're not into that.
I think that's on the dark web.
No, it's probably not, honestly.
The hardcore stuff. But anyway, so dogs, how do they love? Do they love?
I mean, I would hope so. I mean, every dog I've ever had, I've seen some kind of affection, at least I believe, out of it and whatnot.
Well, if you think about it, any kind of behavior or feelings mostly stems from brain chemistry. So scientists have actually done studies and shown that dogs' brains release oxytocin when there's eye contact, especially in large quantities, like goes up to 110% theoretically. When you have eye contact with your dog for more than 15 seconds. So eye contact is good as long as you know the dog. Is that almost
kind of like imprinting? When you just focus on them for 15 seconds and then they're kind of imprinted on you?
Imprinting is a whole other thing about base connection and core memory, and I think there's not enough studies to show whether that's the case, but what I'm referring to is more like how you feel with your romantic partner or your some other loved one, that when you're connecting with them, that it releases a lot of those brain chemicals that are bonding chemicals and make you feel good, warm and fuzzy, and feel connected to and loved by that person.
Kind of like when you're looking at somebody and they're like, "What are you looking at?" And you're like, "Just you."
So yeah, So chemically speaking, definitely dogs definitely love as much as we can love based on brain chemicals. There's other studies to show other chemicals too that rise during certain activities and so on. So if you really want your dog to love you and to learn to love you, and also you to learn to love them, because studies show that the handler also has a massive increase in oxytocin with eye contact and training and literally verbally communicating with your dog. So whether they understand what you're saying or not, which is arguable, that's a whole other field of study. You talk to your dog, give them eye contact. The way to make them love you more is to have more conversations, just like you and I or anyone else.
Yeah. I mean, come on, y'all talk to your dogs. Everybody out there does it. Even when they say they don't know, I don't do that. Like, really? Come on, who you fooling? You talk to your dog.
You definitely do.
I mean,
don't lie to us.
Yeah, you can't lie. You can't lie to people, especially a dog guy like him. You can't lie. It doesn't work.
No, I read microbody language. Some say that's an autism trait too, but
I mean,
I don't have the money to diagnose myself, so we'll figure that out. Probably never.
I'm sure you could get a degree in it.
A degree in autism?
No.
I'm sure a few degrees of that.
No, it's because I was actually looking that up just last night, as a matter of fact. Surprising. And, you can actually get a degree because people with medical professions get it as, an additional degree. So it's kind of, makes them look like, oh, well, they can help you with this, but they also have some knowledge in this as well.
So it's a degree, not a certificate?
I've seen degrees and I saw certificates. Like I said, I was looking it up last night because me and my girlfriend were talking about it and whatnot. She has autistic children. And she was, like, well, maybe I could do this as kind of like a thing. And I was like looking it up, and then just the way that it just sounds like it's a degree to make you look good more than actually
like continuing education or something. Well, any kind of education's a good thing. I mean, I don't put a lot of stock in certifications or degrees. Like, I'm not certified in what I do. That doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. I've learned both organically and through professionals that are certified and have degrees that have trained me. So it's not a formal college training or anything like that, but it's definitely college level training, and then 15 years of doing it as a career.
Yeah, I mean, you get some knowledge out of that. You're not just BSing.
Yeah, I was asked to speak at a vet tech school at DeVry over in Dayton, and they never asked me to come back, and I think it's because I told them, yes, education's great, it's a good place to start, and always keep coming back and educating yourself further, and make sure you check your sources, but always expand your knowledge through other people and through experience, and I would prefer that you learn more through communication, through other professionals that have experience, that have shown themselves to be reputable. But, this is where your education begins, it's not where it ends, and it's not even terribly necessary for a lot of things, but obviously scientific education requires some lab study. But I clarified all that, but, I don't know.
No.
I think they thought I was shooting academia in the foot, and that nothing could be further from the truth. I totally believe in science and the process and the education, but I think a lot of scientists, not all, get stuck and don't expand out and don't explore hypotheses, and that's what we're supposed to do. Take the risk of being wrong, but test your hypothesis and have peers review it, and so on and so the scientific process. But don't be afraid to check some ideas. That's why we need community, especially in anyone needs community, but especially in science and behavioral fields, to have people we can trust that we can bounce these ideas off of and check and see if we're crazy.
Most of us are anyway, so it don't matter.
At least crazy where it counts. I mean, we're not crazy.
This wouldn't be a Captain Spish dog behavior podcast if we just said, well, dogs can love, hey, have a great day, keep eye contact.
We're out, done.
There's obviously more to it, so...
Yeah, definitely. Get back on track, right?
Well, I mean, there's that, too. Got to leave it to, somebody's got to at least
here's Tommy.
Steer the ship. I'm not the captain, but I'm at the wheel at the moment. What's that tell you about this guy?
You were just out of control earlier in the car, so...
Yeah, we won't get into that.
I'm not loving my chair right now, sorry.
But, yeah, I mean, so... Do you ever have people question about that? Like,
Oh,
Clients be like, how do I know my dog actually loves me?
yeah.
Is it just seeing something? I mean, because to me, it would be like if the dog comes to you, sits by you, or wants, attention from you. To me, that's like, oh, you have some kind of affection. But
Yeah, definitely. And I get this. I get all kinds of questions like, does my dog actually love me? Am I misinterpreting things? Or even people telling me my dog doesn't love me or doesn't like me or doesn't love my spouse or children or all these other things. And the thing is, English kind of fails us. English has one word for love, and there are so many different loves. There's so many different types of love, and love is a living thing, and it's also an action. So, different actions can show love in various forms, and inaction can show love sometimes, and it's a living thing, like I said. So, love can start out as one type of love, and then grow and morph and mutate and change into a different one based on how it's nurtured or not nurtured. So I think dogs can wonder as well if we love them based on how our lives change, and depression can creep in, and dogs can change how they behave with their owners based on your relationship, just like anyone else. And it can be renewed and rekindled and brought back around, just like also any other relationship. And that comes with communication and connection. Really, literally seeing, like the eye contact, seeing the other individual and showing that we listen through eye contact, and through actions, through connecting. And how do we have conversations with dogs? Well, we brought this up with Listen to Your Dog episode and a few others. So we'll
yes, we did.
circle back around with the fact that you literally take in what they're saying and you respond to it. Like, hey, I'm scared of the situation. Oh, well, I understand that. I see that. And we accept that you're afraid. And we will calmly, gently show you where you should take that fear, or what you shouldn't do with that fear, what you should do with that fear. Or if you're asking for attention, that you need attention, you need something as a dog, that we will listen to you best we can and try to figure out what do you need? Do you need play? Do you need water? Are you cold? So sometimes Coben will wake me up in the middle of the night whining, or little light barks, because he's cold and he doesn't know how to cover himself. Mimo used to cover himself up. He was a master. In fact, he didn't have a pillow for the longest time because he would dig and burrow and rip the pillow open and hot pocket himself. And he couldn't find his way out, and he almost died once doing that.
Kind of like DiCaprio in The Revenant. Is that what you're saying?
I've never seen that, but yeah, I guess.
He carves a horse open and actually sleeps in it after it's like died, because it's like freezing cold outside. So
he wontons himself?
I mean, yeah, basically. It was a real horse that he actually did it with too. That's why he won the Oscar for the movie. Fantastic movie.
Oh wow, that's
at
amazing.
Any rate,
we're movie buffs too. We maybe should have just a podcast on that.
Cast,
but
everybody's got one of those though.
So now I have this image of a man inside of a horse. What was I talking about?
Not Clerks 2. That's a donkey. No, I'm talking.
All right.
Different love.
That's not doggy love. So what was I talking about though? Seriously?
No, you were talking about how Mimo used to get in
stuff himself in a pillow and almost die. Yeah, he did that once after a memorial for the loss of our other dogs.
Oh, that would have been.
We were out to dinner. He came back and he was wilted. His ears, usually a prick, and they're all like, and he was coming out panting. I had to rip the pillow open to get him out.
Gosh.
Yeah, he almost suffocated himself, almost overheated himself to death. Mimo literally almost killed himself at least 5 times. Bull terriers.
Are you sure that dog loved you?
The way that dog was adventurous and didn't think twice about anything he did, and that can be an admirable trait and also a terrifying one.
Sounds more like the terrifying side of
things. So for 3 or 4 years, I didn't give him any pillows. We went to yard sales and bought like sweaters. Okay. And small blankets, because he would peel open big blankets to get inside of them too, and tangle them around himself. So because I knew he would just burrow and nest, so I'd give him this pile of sweaters, and I would come down to get him out in the morning, and he'd be covered in sweaters because he knew how to cover himself, or a blanket. He knew how to get under those. Coben's clueless. Coben's like, it fell off while he got a drink. Oh no, I'm cold. Squeeze. Because that's what he squeeze.
He squeeze.
Squee.
Yeah.
If you do that to him, he gets real excited.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you want Coben to come to you or be excited, you squee. If you do it too much, he'll fly at you like a cannonball. So you have to be careful how much you squee.
He becomes a ball terrier.
Ball terrier.
We're going right back to
ball
that.
terror. Yeah, well, that's
ball of terror.
It's a Coben. So it's about understanding them and giving them what they need and listening to them when they ask for it and try to figure it out. And because they don't speak English, it's a little more complicated. But it gives you more time to communicate. And I tell my clients to make opportunities to converse with their dog, to have rules and boundaries. Hey, wait until you're invited to eat. Take an opportunity. It's something you do with them anyway. You feed them, have them wait and look at you and connect and be given permission to eat, permission to come out of their kennel. Just wait until after you unhook them off the leash until you release them, they can go. So instead of them being on autopilot and saying, "Oh, that leash clicked," that means I just go and you don't exist. Make yourself present in their world. Hey, I unleash the leash doesn't mean you just go off. Look at me and see if I have an instruction for you. And that can also reduce the risk of them darting out into traffic and jumping on guests and other things. It helps with impulse control if you just teach them to think and look to you for instruction. And then it opens the doors to so much more training and organic understanding. And so it's very important. So that's part of dog love. And you listening to them too, and them listening back. But yeah, there's different loves, like I said earlier, and dogs are no different. So Trish was just saying in there to you about how Elle will get cuddles from her, and then she'll be like, "Okay, I'm done, I'm off," and just leave. and Trish knows. Trish is my wife. She knows that her dog loves her, but she'll give brief love to Trish and then wander off and do her own thing, which is actually a sign of self-confidence. It means that she doesn't feel the need to show constant love and be all on top of you, which is a good thing.
Like, she's not reliant on that affection.
Which is funny because Elle also has separation anxiety from Trish. So if Trish leaves, Trish can be gone for 5 hours, and Elle will sit or lay in the kitchen at the door waiting for her to come back. Sometimes she'll come in and take little naps, but if she hears anything, she'll be back at that door.
See, that's
and whine off and on, or constantly. She's gotten a little better as she's gotten older, but yeah.
See, I could see that as being love because, I mean, my daughter is the same way.
What's love but missing somebody?
She comes over, it's like, "Oh, I've missed you so much. Okay, I'm going to do my own thing now." And then, we get ready to leave. "But I'm going to miss you."
That's confident, well-developed love, is to not feel the need to prove it.
Right.
It's okay to prove it sometimes on purpose, but you shouldn't feel compelled that you must. That shows insecurity and anxiety, and maybe you need to think about your relationship with whoever that is.
I think a good example of that, actually, my son years ago when he first stayed at my dad's house, when he came back the next day, he was so upset because he forgot about us. He was having so much fun. He forgot about his mom and dad for a little bit. And he was devastated. He thought he had done the worst thing in the world. It's like, you're fine, kid. Believe it or not, me and your mom don't think about you all the damn time.
You get older. So kids are used to that, though. And dogs are very similar to kids that way, where you're their world. And everything you think and feel impacts them greatly. And that can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing, in certain situations. But it's just that presence of mind that the dogs have with you. Our worlds are so big and complicated, we forget our loved ones because we have to, because we're kind of in survival mode. Thank you, capitalism. Once again, another different podcast. But we have to fight to survive, and I think that's one function dogs do for us, is remind us to stop and think about our loved ones and be present with them, even if it's for a few seconds or a few minutes, off and on through the day. That should be enough, really. And that's why I tell my clients too, is make sure you take a moment, and whenever you get tempted to get frustrated with them wanting attention, just accept it as a reminder that you need to stop and breathe and connect with your dog and let go of the pains and troubles of the day for a little bit and connect with your dog and see the joy it gives them. And remember life is, my lips are so dry, about more than your work and survival, that your work will be there, your bills will be there too, and everything else will be there. But your dog is only here for, if you're lucky, 15 years, 16 maybe.
The longest one we ever had was 13 and a half ourselves.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty good for an average.
For a beagle hound too.
Yeah, for certain breeds, especially some are known to be more long lived, but I'd say an average. Once you're after 10, you're really counting the days, and so they may be a brief moment in your life, but you are everything to them, and it's good to remember that a week in a dog's life is like years. Days are like months. And I should put things in perspective. If you really love your dog like I do, you don't want to waste any time. You don't want to waste a sunny day. You don't want to waste those minutes you could have given them love and shown them that you love them and that they mean a lot to you as well. And it's unfair that they'll never probably mean as much to us as we mean to them.
I was just going to ask you, so with those examples that you're giving and, the timeline, because, dog years are different than human years,
average of 7 years per year. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, in your opinion, do you feel that dogs are probably more giving in their love than we are, or they love harder than we do in that aspect?
Yeah, I think because of the things we've already touched on, it should be pretty clear that they don't have as many distractions or worries or concerns, especially considering that you take care of most of those. You make sure they're safe, they're sheltered, they have food. Pardon me. Well, I need some drink. But you're everything to them, and because their world's so simple. So yeah, they have the room in their mind and heart to love you like that. And for us, we have all kinds of things getting in the way. And also dogs, they don't think selfishly. They don't have ulterior motives or manipulative reasons to show affection or to love you. I mean, maybe a little bit sometimes. I've seen some dogs are a little... I was
just thinking, what was it that Trish was saying earlier about, she'll want to cuddle up to me, but when she wants something, she is all over me.
But is that really manipulation? I mean, how else would they communicate they want something from you? They're not saying, "Oh, I give them a bunch of love, and now they have to give me this food." It's more like, "Oh, I'm present and close to you. I'm near the food too, then, and I show you affection and love, and they usually give me treats." So you're actually
I think
Pavlovian response training them.
Yeah, I think it's all in how you interpret it too. Because I mean, you could easily look at that and be like, "Oh, well, they only love me," and I'm sure you've had clients think the same way or mention like, "Well, the dog only gets wants to show any kind of affection when they want something." Like, okay, but like you said, if you got to communicate with them and everything else, how else are they going to do it?
And people forget how much they're training their dog every moment of every day through association. So if they give you affection, you think they're only giving you affection to get the treat, then they give them the treat, then they're going to give you more affection to get more treats. And that's fine. I think we need to quit shaming ourselves and shaming others for loving people and other animals and things partly based on what they do for us. It's natural. It's normal. You're going to love someone more who gives you more treats and affection and gifts, and you're going to feel more love for them anyway. It doesn't, not necessarily how much you feel love isn't necessarily how much you do love, but you're going to love someone who talks to you more, who listens to you more, who takes you out and does more things with you more. Someone who understands your likes and dislikes, someone who accepts your feelings for what they are and lets you be who you are.
So wait, hold on. Do you mean like a national holiday where you get stuff for your significant other and do things for them in the terms of showing love? What? No.
Yeah, exactly.
That's socialism right there.
It's totally normal to love someone based on, but not exclusively for functions or things they give you. It's okay. That's part of it. Like I said earlier, love is an action as much as it's an emotion. Bless you.
Bless me, I coughed. What the fuck?
Not true. You got out of him.
Well, I think it's the same way. When we show more affection to the dog, maybe, the dog's going to be more inclined to want to seek out our companionship and everything else. It's giving you what you're giving in return. So, again, you're doing something for someone. They're showing you love for it. The same with the dog. The dog does something for you. Exactly.
Yeah, and so I have clients that have a dog um, seem to love one partner more than the other. And it's because the one partner doesn't do as much discipline or correction, or they're gentler about it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is much more authoritarian and pushy. And so sometimes the dog will drift more to the one that's gives just as many
Mm-hmm.
rules, but in a more palatable way,
Yeah.
and kind of avoid the anxious, frustrated one. Because that's what brains do. They avoid
Mm-hmm.
threats and anxieties and things that are unpleasant. And I have to coach them. It's like, breathe more, be less frustrated. You can be just as authoritarian, and dogs like that. They like rules and strictness. Actually, I've seen it the other way around, where the individual that is much more strict and less affectionate, the dog loves them more than the person that's more touchy feely, emotional, because to a dog, giving structure and rules very clearly is true love, and it's predictable, and the emotions may not be very high, like high affection and cuddles,
Mm-hmm.
but the signs of that person's stable, predictable, and gives rules and correction, and helps them through that dog's anxieties and fears, is far more loving than hugs, kisses, and treats, because that's just what that individual needs more. And so that's an easy fix too. So the person that's giving a lot of hugs and kisses and treats, keep doing that, but also maybe start giving the dog more rules and guidance,
Mm-hmm.
which feels less loving to people. Like, oh, I'm telling them no all the time. It's like, yeah, because they're going to electrocute themselves chewing that cord, or going to get a blockage if they eat that, or it's just, that's love to care if they get hurt, and even be mad a little bit of sometimes, because fear creates anger. So if you're afraid they're going to hurt themselves, sometimes it comes out as anger, and that's something you have to watch too, because you don't want to kill love through misplaced emotions or secondary emotions.
Yeah.
Understanding yourself is a very good way to show better that you love another. And dogs don't really understand themselves much. So I think that's sometimes why people get a little confused about whether their dog loves them or not, because the dog is just kind of flowing with the emotions of the group and the emotions of the leader. So if you want to show more love, you show more love, and they
So in
feel
that
free to
case
do
that you're
that.
talking about, where you had the one client where they felt like the dog actually showed the other one more love, how did you go about like kind of getting the point across that like maybe that's not really the case? And then did you do any follow up with them to see if they actually applied anything, to see if any changes were made to the lifestyle?
Yeah, some of these examples I'm kind of combining multiple clients into, but in general,
Multi-client.
multi-client, I like multitask, but I kind of just talking to the people is enough to get them to get an idea about it, and showing the people see also that how much their dog loves me after 2 hours. And I've had clients get jealous about that too. It's like, I wish my dog loved me like they love you. I'm like, just be more like me. Just all I do to the dog is come in first and foremost wanting to show them respect of their feelings and respect of what they do with them. And I don't respond negatively even if they do. And I give them back calmness, guidance, and true love, which is that understanding, and give them something to replace that behavior with that's positive, that doesn't make them a target, that doesn't threaten me, that doesn't guarantee I'm a threat. So that, how much more love can you give someone than to let them be themselves, understand and accept their emotions, and to guide them through a better way. And so that's kind of how I teach those people too.
Right.
Hey, you want your dog to love you more? Just love them more. Just pull yourself out of your own world and see things from their perspective a little bit more, and actually connect with them.
And I can see where like you said, we've always got so much stuff going on, between bills, work, our own families, not even counting the, canine part of it. Or in some instances, like with your family, it's you two and then the several dogs you own. But you still got a lot going on and whatnot. Sometimes it's good to just, like they say, stop and smell the roses, give yourself a few moments, and that might be all you need, is just that little bit of a break, show the affection. You end up de-stressing yourself, and you end up reinforcing the love of a wonderful companion at the same time.
Dog goes out, gets muddy and wet, stop and enjoy the smell of a wet dog.
Well, I mean, depending on what they get into, I mean,
that's when you laugh. Sometimes part of love is choosing laughter instead of anger.
You know, you say that, and all I can
It's
think
mischief. It is what it is. You can always clean or fix it up. Everything's replaceable. Your dog is not.
all I can think is that scene in Beethoven after he's in the mud and he's sitting in the he's sitting on the bed, and the guy's like, no, 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 and he just starts shaking it. My daughter loves those movies.
You know, usually dog movies really frustrate me.
Is
so
it
we should
because
probably have an episode
is it
of
because
that.
there's no rule in basketball saying a dog can't play? Is that what it is? Is
That's
that
the
what
least of it.
frustrates you?
I mean, just so many inaccuracies, and the way people treat the dog and the way the dog responds. I mean, I understand it's a movie and it's for entertainment, but people gotta take this stuff as instructional videos sometimes these days.
Well, I mean, you know, not all of them can be where the red fern grows. So, I mean,
Where is that?
you've never seen that?
Where does the red fern grow?
Oh man, oh, it hurts. It hurts so bad.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I think I've heard of it, but never seen it.
I'll get you the DVD. I have it at home.
Is it a crying movie?
It's.
I don't know if I can take that.
I don't know. Could you watch Old Yeller?
I see.
God, never mind. He can't. He can't. People.
No, I can't. No,
the dog lover can't handle Old Yeller.
I understand, and I'm very happy they make movies that make people cry.
Mm-hmm.
We need movies and art help us see ourselves in an indirect way, so we can see what we've been through in an indirect way, so we can cry over someone else's tragedies instead of ours. But the problem is that, and not to be too boo-hoo, my life, it's enough to cry over. I don't. I have so many tragedies and difficulties and depression. I just don't need it.
Yeah, I understand.
I just get into my own head and I'll cry. So I don't need a movie.
Well, I'm sure other people out there have probably seen what I'm talking about, and he needs to watch.
I do it still because I mean I love movies.
I mean, not every movie can be Homeward Bound or Beethoven or Air Bud Golden Retriever.
Marley and Me really bothers me.
Owen
I really
Wilson
don't
is
like
not
that.
that bad of an actor.
I love Owen Wilson. He was the best part. It was the only reason I watched that movie.
Look, I saw the trailer for that movie, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to watch it," because I knew exactly where it was going to go. It's one of them ones that's like overly.
That bothered me less than the fact that, and that's a message I give across too, and that's a good message for love as well. And like I said earlier, sometimes it's better if you can to choose to laugh than be angry. Take it as mischief and funny, and keep it. It's all about perspective. It's easier to love somebody when you keep perspective about the limited time you have. Think about, well, is that carpet or that couch, is it replaceable versus my dog or the relationship we have?
Well, like you said, you don't
I throw
have
away
as long
10
with
couches.
the dog as you do with other things.
I throw away 100 couches to keep my dog another year. I mean, it's simple as that. So keep that in mind. Keep in perspective. It's anger and fear and other things really help kill love in you and in others. Don't do that. Don't kill your love. Just laugh.
Don't give
Enjoy
yourself
it.
unnecessary stress. Don't. If you could just laugh it off, go about your day, just do it.
And in Marley and Me, those people wasted so much time not thinking, not communicating with their dog, being frustrated and mad, and with their dog because of their own failures. They didn't put in safety nets, and they didn't put in training. They didn't put in time, the dog figured it out eventually, and they learned to love their dog for who it was, which was a great message. But they wasted so many great years being so frustrated and mad because they didn't understand what was going on and what they're doing to their own dog, and they made that dog that way, and they didn't realize that. And isn't that really the epitome of suffering, is things you do to yourself and you're not self-aware enough to realize how much of it is your choices, lack of choices, lack of preparedness. Yeah, exactly. And then how that comes back to you. I mean,
take a step back and, really re-examine yourself. Like, what am I doing for this?
Which circles back to
what am I doing to make sure that the dog is being cared for, that it knows it's loved? How is it loving me back? How am I interpreting this? Sometimes it's good to just take that moment.
And I will make sure that no one misunderstands me when I say that you can love others better when you understand yourself and you're compassionate to yourself, and It doesn't mean that you can't love others if you don't love yourself. That's absolutely not true. You can, in fact, some of the people I've known that love others the most don't love themselves like they should, and it's sad. And you all deserve to love yourselves. It's okay to recognize you need to improve and grow in some areas. Absolutely, that's part of loving yourself. Just like we were talking about loving the dogs. You love them for who they are now, for all their troubles and what they're doing and how bad they are. And we see the best in them, we guide them in that direction, and we let them have those feelings. We let them behave poorly and redirect it when we need to. Why don't we do that for ourselves? Why can't we accept our feelings? Understand they have a reason, and know that there's a positive and negative way to what to do with those feelings, and learn from wise people, learn from our resources what we can do with those feelings that can make things better.
Absolutely.
And make ourselves better. It's okay. It's okay to be a jerk. Figure it out. Quit being a jerk. What does it mean to be a jerk? And so just the self-awareness and the self-compassion will bring you forward and through that, and accepting you for who you are and knowing you can make yourself better is the absolutely best way you can love yourself and improve yourself and be more lovable to others. But don't wait until you love yourself to love others. It's never not the time to love someone and love another dog.
I mean, the way I look at it is, if you don't love yourself but you love others, maybe they can help teach you to love yourself. You don't know.
Yeah.
It could just be a lesson that you need to learn a different way.
Yeah. And love is about that forgiveness and acceptance. That's really the heart of love.
And who doesn't have to do that with a dog when they're acting up or they do something, like they get into something?
Have you ever had a puppy? Oh my God. just have a puppy and you'll learn about patience and laughing instead of crying and throwing a temper tantrum.
Probably cheaper than just having a kid and learning that way anyways.
Yeah. So
maybe less painful for women too. I mean, dealing with a puppy for 9 months as opposed to growing a child inside you for 9 months. I mean, but what do I know? I'm just a fat guy. I mean, I don't have to worry about that kind of thing. So.
Well, while the baby's inside, it doesn't chew its way out, bite you, and chew up your couch and your remote.
But could you imagine if it did? Makes me
Ridley
want to watch
Scott,
Alien.
where are you?
I was gonna say, it makes me want to watch Alien. You're going right to
hello,
that.
my baby. Hello, my darling.
No, that's Spaceballs. Completely different. Completely different.
Well, it ripped out
John
of there,
hurt in both of those, though.
He got hurt in both?
No, John. Well, I mean, technically, yeah. That's why he says not again, because it was the same actor from Alien having something coming out. You got a level one so can have snorted.
Yeah,
you just did it again.
I did on purpose.
I hope you
time.
edit that out. Nobody wants to hear that. It's not the dog behavior snort cast.
Should be. That's for French bulldogs. They actually communicate through snorts.
Oh, okay. Well, when you explain that, again, I'm not a dog person. I don't know any of this stuff. So when you tell me that, I don't get the joke.
Even bull terriers, all dogs can communicate through snorts and snots.
Oh, yeah. It's like children.
Mm-hmm.
French children.
Just a little bit more snot.
Probably a bit more.
Just a little bit.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so that's just a big part of love. So I have clients get jealous about how much their dog loves me too when I come pick up dogs. I take them out for pack therapy. I was like, well, you want some of this love, you take them out on adventures.
You got to put in the effort.
Yeah. Understand them, be patient. And it's not just love of me, they also love their dog friends. So people think, oh, that dog's so excited to see you. I had a bull terrier named Desmo, and he was one of my earlier clients. He literally just passed away this last year in 2023. He was 15, 14. Oh, wow. Okay. So nice ripe old age for a bull terrier.
He'd been around for a bit then.
He had.
That's good.
So when I first met Desmo, I was working temporarily, like part-time in a doggy daycare just to help, because I was starting my business. I was boosting money for paying for ads.
So when you say early client, you mean like...
We're talking...
Like one of the first?
Yeah, 12 years. 12 years ago, 13 years ago. Or longer. Yeah, it was back when he was a puppy. He was like... So he was about a year old and he came into the doggy daycare. No one knew how to handle him. He was coming in there. He was literally charging after all the dogs and chomping at them and jumping on everyone, including us, people watching him. And He was just wild. He was a really wild bull terrier. He had floppy ears and he was brindle. And they didn't know how to deal with him. So I was charging after him to correct him and redirect him to play with me or with dogs that can handle that kind of play. And he got all snarky with me because he was overstimulated. And he started jumping up and trying to charge after me to bite me. And they kicked him out because of it. Because he was freaking out at everyone. And
I mean, so that makes sense because then it almost seems like the dog might be a danger to others.
It was too much stimulation for him. It just wasn't the right environment. I mean, the doggy daycare was great. All the dogs tolerated him pretty well. He didn't hurt anyone, but they couldn't have a dog that was disruptive in that kind of environment. They're just part-time. If I wasn't there, I would hate to see what happened. Because what I had to do is, as he was charging after me, I grabbed one of our chairs and put it in front of me, with its legs still on the ground, and he would go in between the chair to try to bite me, and I would turn the chair around, which would redirect him the other way, and he'd come back, and I'd do it again, and he'd come back, and I'd do it again. I literally did that 10 times.
Is that kind of like the people? It's like when the dog is like coming at you, you keep just keep spinning it.
Well,
keep spinning it.
I did that once with when I was a meter reader. I went into this basement to read the meter. These two kids let me in, and their dog charged after me. I grabbed the chair and did the same thing, and that's why I didn't get bit that day. And there's times when I've been on consultations when dogs charge to bite me, and I would use flat hands and Tai Chi, like Karate Kid drum situation, where I just deflect the dog off to the side from the back and then right behind the jaw, because they can't quite bite me with the flat hands.
Did you drum punch a dog?
I didn't punch him. I just literally had flat hands enough to just let them come in, and I just push slightly, and they would, because they're coming in with so much force.
Right, yeah.
I'll just redirect their head, and they're like motorcycles. If you push it over, it's going to go that way. A lot of people think you can stop a dog directly, and they have so much force and determination. That's not likely. But if they come at you and you just direct their head or their shoulder with light amount of force and just using their own energy just to deflect it, they're going to go that way. And you see how confused they get. And then it defeats a lot of their fight, because they expect you to bite them back when they attack. They expect a retaliation or a defense. When all they do is get deflected and they didn't get hurt, they didn't feel much of your own force, it takes some of the fight out of them, because they're like, well, they're not participating, so maybe they're not as much of a threat, and maybe I'm making more of a problem than I need to. And you do that a couple times, and I've actually had very aggressive dogs quit trying to bite me and just come up and lick me, because I didn't hurt them. I didn't run from them. I didn't attack them. I just burned up their energy. And when I touch them with that too, when you touch a dog, they feel what you're feeling. They feel your energy. So they felt that all I had was love, and I was calm, and I was not scared like any more than someone should be. I mean, I was a little scared because the dog's trying to bite me, but it didn't take over.
Really know, and all that, experience with them. I'm sure that's,
Yeah, that's part of it. I knew I could deflect him and be safe, and I made peace with that. I could get bit, and that reduces your chances of getting bit, is being okay with it. So I was just able to deflect him enough, but yeah, that's love too. So in the face of threat, knowing the truth and showing them compassion and forgiveness, and not giving back what they give you, but giving them back something better. That's like level 10 love. It's like
level 10 love.
Black belt love, you might say.
Black belt love.
Black
I feel
belt
like
love.
that should be like a trending term or something. Black belt love.
Yes.
BBL.
I'm undefeated in the game of love. And then you're out of sync. I'm undefeated in the game of love.
Haha.
Come get some. But anyway,
Kung Pao, enter the love.
So let's talk about Desmo. So Desmo, that's how we met. He tried to kill me, and
Wait, are you sure you're talking about the dog? Or I thought that's how you and your wife met. She tried to kill you.
No, she had to break down my walls.
Oh, okay.
I was like, this girl's crazy, and she's like, love me, damn it. And I'm like, okay. That's it in shorthand. But anyway,
she deflected you, and you're like, wait a minute, what?
That's a Patreon episode we can talk about. That's my personal stuff.
All right, fair enough.
Things we could get canceled for otherwise.
Not talking about the
Black
donkey
belt
show earlier, all that.
Anyway, I am the sensei of love. But so Desmo tried to kill me, figured it out. I went out and met the owners because they were upset that he was getting kicked out of the doggy daycare, and the owners knew what I did for a living other than work at this daycare, and they referred them to me. It was like, well, this guy owns a bull terrier, and he's a behavior expert, so ball terrier, and why don't you talk to him? And sure enough, that's how we got together, and I went out and met him at his place, and he joined my pack of pack therapy because we actually didn't just sit around a room and let dogs get lazy and be overstimulated and also undirected. Instead, we'd be together in a van and we'd go for a ride, and we'd go to a place to walk and hike, and he had dog friends that would teach him, hey, don't be so crazy. And I come in and teach him, yeah, don't be so crazy. And so the other dogs knew they didn't have to go further and saying, hey, this is my boundary, my line, don't go any further. And then Captain would come in and be like, hey, that's their line. This is how they tell you. Why don't you come to me? Why don't we go do this other thing? It's something you have to do with puppies all the time, with dogs in general. No matter their age, you have to teach them inappropriate, what's appropriate, how to read other dogs, boundaries and body language, and show them what to do about that. But so we're talking about love. Oh yes, and jealousy. So every time the J word. Every time I would go and pick up this dog, he would scream. That was what he did. Scream the top. I won't do it as loud because I want to blast out the people's speakers.
Why do all your dogs sound like Muppets?
Because my dogs talk like Muppets. Sorry, I'm mimicking. That's almost a perfect Desmo I just did. If Heather, if you're listening, Heather and Scott. That's the Desmo. He was named after a Desmotronic valve train in a motorcycle, like Italian motorcycle. Anyway, you can look at it. Desmotronic. But anyway, that's just neither here nor there. So he's screaming at the top of the lungs. Every day I get him, and I used to get him 5 days a week, 3 days a week.
Oh, wow.
And every time act like I'd been gone for months. And then when they first boarded him with me, they were gone for a week. And when they came to get him, he'd come out, and I expect him to do what most bull terriers do when their owners come back, literally flip and scream and jump and lose their mind and bark. And instead, I let him out of his crate, and he comes out, he stretches. And he wags his tail lightly and comes trotting out to them and goes to the door and waits to leave. Walks right past them, goes to the door, waits to leave.
Wow.
Oh, you're here. It's finally time to go. And that's how he always responded to them when they come pick him up. And I come get him for the fifth time that week, and he's... he did that. I went to see him a day or two before he passed. And he was, really thin and weak and had basically doggy dementia. And he was deaf as a coffin nail. And he saw me and smelled me, and his tail started wagging all fast, and he tried to do the scream.
Oh, no.
Yeah, very last day that we got to see him. I'm glad he recognized me and was happy to see me still. I was afraid that Desmo wasn't there anymore. But he was still in there.
That's good.
Some dogs, when they're near the end, they're just not them anymore. They kind of lose it. I actually lost him and Romy and Romaji. They call him Romeo. I called him Romaji. His name was Rock. It's a long story.
Yeah.
Maybe someday I'll talk. I actually have an episode I'll talk about Romy. But he passed away this year too, and he was one of my best clients, best friends, and really devastated him. And we'll also have an episode on loss and grief with dogs that we'll talk about, because I think that needs to be addressed. But I'll have to try to be as prepared as I can be for that one. That's going to be a draining episode. That's going to be like, you come in here, we record that, and that's the only thing we do that day.
So, in other words, I need to make sure I bring the rum, is what you're saying. You might need some drinks after that.
Why is the rum gone? But yes, exactly. That's going to be a tough episode. Same thing when we talk about the heart dog, which I thought about doing for Valentine's Day as well, because I thought about having 2 Valentine-like episodes for February. One will be about how dogs love, do they love, and then heart dogs, like the dog that's really special. If you don't know what a heart dog is a dog that's one that you really connect with, that's with you through some of the toughest parts of your life. When a lot of times, like for me, when my dog, Hero is my heart dog, was the only living being on the planet that loved me that was left. He's the only one that really loved me, the only thing I had. And I would have otherwise believed nothing could love me in that time. And so that's our dog. When they connect with you, they listen to you, they understand you, they show you their love through their obedience, and not even obedience as much as it's like they know what you need and they just do it. And there's no way you could tell them what you need from them. No way you could have trained them to do what they do for you. They just know and they do it.
Kind of like that special someone in your life that's really just kind of there, not even necessarily somebody that you have that kind of loving relationship with, but a friend, a loved one, somebody who's there.
Yeah, dogs can teach us a great lesson about love too. Is that you don't always have to fix things. When someone, in fact, your first instinct shouldn't be to offer advice or to fix something or to act like something's broken or to offer solutions. Just listening and feeling with the individual, to cry when they cry. Dogs don't come and give you advice or fix anything when you're crying. They just come to you and touch you. They look you in the eye when you're crying, when no one else was comfortable to do that. When they're just there and they listen.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do for our loved ones sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No matter how much they may annoy the crap out of you at the time, like I said, take a minute, take a breath, and realize this isn't going to, nobody's going to be here forever for that. So love.
And if you didn't care for them, they couldn't annoy you. If you didn't love them, they couldn't scare you and make you angry because they almost killed themselves. It just, they can't get to you and they can't annoy you if you're not in touch with the little nuances, the little teeny parts of their personality and the traits and behaviors they do. It's a side effect. It's it's the other side of the coin of love. And I had to teach my sisters that too, that because they would date this guy and they'd really like him, and then they get really annoyed with some things. Like, I really like it because he takes charge, and if there's a problem with our order at a restaurant, he will politely and assertively talk to the waitress and fix it. And I love that about him. It's like something I'd never felt before.
But oh my God, I cannot stand that hangnail that he has. It is just
no, it's more like it. They would literally tell me that he's pushy and know-it-all and controlling. And I was like, well, that's
the same.
It's the thing you love about them, but it's the negative side of that same coin. And the question is, you're going to love somebody for the same thing it's going to annoy you the most about them too. And the question is that payoff worth it? Is it healthy, for one thing, for the behavior? Should you love that behavior in them? And are you willing to deal with the side effect, the backswing of that same exact personality trait? Is that compatible with you? Can you learn to be patient and tolerant of that? Or is it a deal breaker? And that's okay too. So being self-honest, being self-aware, and seeing things from an outside perspective can help you have a deeper love and to protect yourself too. Because that's part of the tragedy of love, is that it's blind. It's most of the time intentionally. You intentionally blind yourself to flaws. And sometimes that can be unhealthy. Sometimes you shouldn't be blind to certain things in dogs and in people, such as red flags, as you might know. And so that kind of wisdom and self-honesty and seeing things from an outside perspective can help you understand the solution, if you should tolerate it, and can you make it better? Like, true love, you can be honest with the other person too.
You should be able to
be, hey, this really bothers me, and it's not trying to be critical, but this really bothers me, and I think if you helped yourself in a certain way, or if you talk to me differently when you feel that way, I know why you're frustrated and mad, but it feels like you're being mad at me, or something along those lines. Hey, I love it when you're assertive at the restaurant, but I'm not the waitress. I'm not your employee. I don't want to be pushed around. And I'm an independent adult, and you can know that maybe I should do something a certain way, but either just let me make that mistake and respect my autonomy, or present it in a way that's less forceful. And sometimes that's the thing with dogs too. If you're trying to be dominant, you're going to over push a lot of rules, and the dog's going to be just as likely to ignore you or backlash. And we want to love our dogs, so we want to acknowledge they're living, independent beings as well, just like a human partner. And we need to respect their feelings and thoughts and their choices and gently guide them to better ways.
Yeah, love no matter who it is, whether it be person, animal, or otherwise. Communication is the most important part, because you can love somebody, but if you don't show them or tell them, you might as well be talking to a wall. You might as well be in love with a brick wall.
Yeah, it takes patience and kindness, right?
Well,
what do those words really mean? Love will test that. Relationships test love, because you know, how tolerant can you be? Can you stop words that are going to fly out of your mouth and reactions that are going to fly off your hands and your face, and think about who that other person is and that dog is, and temper your response based on, hey, I don't think they meant it that way, or I'm going to be charitable to this person and be patient. And
I think that's also more important.
Don't just react, just think more.
I think that's more important with a dog, because a dog can't really interpret those other things. Like, you have to be more direct. You have to be
more thoughtful about interpreting who they are and how their instincts behave there. Yeah.
I was going to say, because, if you just like rah about it, it's like the dog can only interpret it as a negative aspect.
They see it as what it is. It's emotional instability. It's not a fully formed thought.
If I were to do it to you or something, you could be like, okay, well, what were the other factors that could have led up to this? Did I even have anything to do with it? Whereas with the dog, I mean, just
how rough was your day that day?
Yeah, rough.
No pun intended.
I mean, again, I am nowhere near the expert on this, but just from everything that I've learned, just with what we've been doing with hearing conversations you and I have had, a dog interprets the more literal aspects of it than the subtle aspects of it. So you have to be more open. You have to be more clear.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
And yet there's times where the dog will pick up things you're unaware of because their ability to read microbody language and the simplicity of their view. So sometimes they get a better picture, clearer picture, because they're getting such a condensed form of it. And other times, especially when it comes to communication from you as a higher ape communicating to a canine, that you need to help convert that to simpler information, because they have a harder time interpreting that being just a simple dog. Because they're just a dog. They're just an animal. Something to keep in mind too to help you love them more is that they're not trying to be anything. They're not pretending. They're not putting on a show. Like I said, it's easy to love a dog deeply because they are what they are. It is what it is, and they respond so purely. There's no ulterior motives or intentional, deep, high complex manipulation. I think we can misinterpret their signs sometimes, and we can assign meaning. I had a client say recently about her dachshund that I think she gets mad at me when I leave because I'm about to leave. She gets so upset and so nervous, and then she jumps up on the bed and she pees, and then she gets surprised by it, and I think she's doing it because she's mad. I was like, well, no, you got it right the first time. She's surprised by it, so she gets so anxious and so upset about you leaving, and that her brain knows that she's reaching a critical mass of anxiety, and she's so upset, and the brain's scrambling to look for a blow-off valve. What can we do that can, like right now, that can relieve stress and make her feel better? Well, you know what? Peeing feels good, and you always have urine available. And so the body bypasses her control of her pee and makes her pee herself. But it's involuntary.
Isn't that almost like when a dog gets too excited and it starts peeing because it's the same
too much of anything? It needs a blow-off valve. Yep.
Now that I have experience, I have seen
most people have
dogs at home like, oh my god, I miss you so much, I'm gonna pee. Like,
yeah, they have that is completely involuntary. They did not intend to do that, except for in certain cases, true submission peeing can be intentional to try to show a sign. So if they get really nervous and upset and they roll over, they tinkle and then they run away, and they do that to offer the individual that they feel threatened by something to sniff that's not them, and they can leave, and then the individual will be distracted by smelling the pee, because they can get a lot of information from the pee about their sex, their age, all kinds of things, their emotional state. And they're like, here, smell the pee. I'm going to remove my person out of here so I don't get hurt. But yeah, in this case, though, where the dog is very nervous and upset, they're nervous and upset. The brain just forces them to pee to make themselves feel a little better, to relieve some of that stress. And it's not malice, it's not spite, it's not anger. Now, I have seen some dogs where I've had to question myself, like, that does seem intentional and spiteful,
Really?
especially with beagles. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I could see their thought, and they're like, "I know something upsets them. I'm going to do this, and it'll get attention." I still don't think
You see that specifically with beagles?
just, it just seems to be what it's like. The only dogs I've ever seen do things where I've had to be like, "That dog is doing something."
So beagles are the dogs that make you kind of question your abilities.
I don't want to upset anyone, but beagles, they're usually sweet, affectionate, and pretty easily trained.
Mm-hmm.
But certain individuals, I mean, the breed as a whole isn't really bred or meant to be a pet. Doesn't mean they can't be a pet.
More hunting, tracking kind of dog.
That's what my dad used not to always easily potty trained and things like that. They're very intelligent, sneakily.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've seen beagles where the person would correct them for something like chewing up a table, and while I'm on consultation, and the dog will stop and look at them and think about it, and then go over to their shoes and then look at them in the eye and then poop in their shoes. And I don't think it's an FU, like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. What are you going to do about it? I think it's a mix of wanting more attention from the person in a way, like to redirect away from the chewing on the thing to the potty, and I think they also know they'll get a reward if they go outside.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, quit rewarding them for when they poop in your shoes and going outside. I add an extra behavior there so they don't associate. I did something wrong and I go do something else wrong, but I'll then be taken outside and given a reward. So have them, after they poop in your shoe, take the poop with you, have them come over you and sit for you, and then come up to the door and sit and wait.
Mm-hmm.
And now go outside and have them sit or shake hands or whatever, and then put the poop down and show it to them and tell them that they're a good dog, and then you can reward them for having the poop outside. But they're being rewarded for being obedient multiple times and having the poop outside, not for chewing on a table, pooping in the house, and then getting a reward for being outside. So you add more behaviors. I keep doing that, crying job. The black bill of love, but but you're giving them multiple behaviors that are positive that you're rewarding, and it separates the bad behaviors from it, and that usually is very successful. And people are like, why didn't I think of that? It's like, because it's weird.
I mean, yeah, you're talking about holding the poop the whole time while they're waiting. I mean, yeah, I can see.
Well, I don't mean grab it with your bare hand either. You can take it with the shoe, like a teapot, or you can go get a sock if it's nearby, or a paper towel or something. You know.
Well, I mean, like when you guys take your dogs out, you use like plastic bags and whatnot.
Yeah, if you have poop bag, like me, yeah, definitely. I always have poop bags on me. I have them right now. If you're a pro, you have these in your pants, no matter what. Even if you're not going to be around dogs, they're always with me. You know, I've used these to collect as water bowls for myself and for dogs because they're waterproof. You just rip one off and you roll up the edge. And you can fill it with water. So if you need something to scoop water out and give to a dog or give to yourself or to throw in someone's face, it's right there.
Because what would an episode of the Captain Spish podcast on dog love be without some form of plastic protection on hand at all times?
You know you're holding dog poop, but you don't freak out.
I don't know. You said because an expert has one of these at all times that I half expect you to pull out a condom, but I'm glad you didn't because that would have been a little weirder.
It'll be a little hard to pick up a dog poop with a condom.
Yeah.
Not impossible, but it'd be messy.
You're not going to go and try that now, are you? Like
you see it in my eyes, don't you, I guess?
I know you. That's why I said you're not going.
I don't think so. I don't like having dog poop on my hands, and I don't want to associate those two things in my mind.
Yeah, that's... Anyhow, moving on.
Once you see a condom packed with dog turds, I don't know if you'll
That's just a visual. I don't think I or any of the viewers / listeners / people who may comment on this, and now they're going to be like, no.
We better get some comments on this. Come on, people. Negative or not, I don't care. It's still, it's good for the algorithm.
I would say if you have some stories about love and dogs that are, publicly able to be put down, please feel free to, post them on here. And maybe when we do that heart episode that you're referring to, we could pass on some of these stories to other people. Maybe it could be even inspirational to some folks. Maybe it might be something that somebody might need to hear at the time.
Yeah. When was the moment, like what happened that made you know you love your dog, or that the dog loves you? Mm-hmm. Who was your heart dog and why? Like, that episode's gonna be full of a lot of emotion for me, and I might have my wife or someone else also speak, because the more the merrier. Mm-hmm. I think we don't get enough recognition for the love we share with our dogs. The world, I think, is starting to come around a lot to that, but I want to let you know that it's totally fine to absolutely love your dog as if, or even more so than a human, than any other human in your life. There's no reason to hold back with dogs like there is with people. And maybe try not holding back so much with people. Mm-hmm. Dogs can teach us that too, to take that risk and to accept the rewards and the risks. And I think a lot of us aren't really protecting ourselves as much from hurt here and now directly from people or animals we love, as much as we want to protect ourselves from the final cost of love, and that is the grief of the loss of them, mm-hmm. which we know will eventually happen.
But if you have that, that's just further proof that you have loved. That is the proof of it right cost.
There. And it's worth it. It really is. It doesn't feel like it a lot of times, but it totally is worth it. Mm-hmm. You need that risk. You need to accept that fee, because that's what you lose. The only thing you lose when you love a dog is a part of your heart when they go, and hopefully you keep more of their heart with you, and you get to share that with people and dogs that are in your life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, kind of a dour note to go towards the end of the episode here, but like you said, that's one that we definitely will cover at a later time. And again, if you got stories to share about it, please absolutely put them down there. We'll look through them and get some of them out there to y'all and whatnot.
Yeah, love is always worth it. Take the risk. Once again, this is Captain Spish, and this has been the Captain Spish Dog Behavior Downer Podcast. My tears. I am the Black Belt of Love, and this is T.Tommy Doolin.
That's right. Since I didn't introduce myself at the beginning like I normally do, I'm here now, in case you didn't notice me on this half of the screen. Or, this half of your ear if you're listening, I guess.
It's not in stereo.
It's not in stereo?
Well, it is.
Is it in mono?
It's stereo mono, so it's not stereo as in stereophonic, like my mic isn't the right channel and your mic's not the left channel.
Okay.
It's two channels, left and right, all the same.
Unless you're adjusting on your radio or
I used to do that.
I said radio, and I
was obsessed with surround sound quadraphonics when I was a kid, and I used to do the balance because I was bored and weird. Before the internet, kids, look it up on your Google machine. But anyway, this has been the Captain Spish Dog Behavior Podcast. Please like and subscribe, or do whatever it is on the platform you're listening or watching this on. And comment and talk to us. We'd love to bring up your comments. We can bring up what you have to say to us and address them.
It doesn't just have to be us talking to you. We want to be able to have you talk to us as well. So please, by all means.
Even if you're a troll, we'll deal with that. We got bridges. We can burn them.
Or we can pay the toll, one of the two.
We'll see you next time.
Yep. Adios. It was unconventional, but it worked.
And I never tell clients, just like I never tell the dogs, not to be scared.
Unfortunately, dogs don't have the ability to just talk it out with you.
See, there's all kinds of different types of bites, but I'll get into that later. What's happened here? How did this start? How can I help you? You reward good behavior and you discourage or redirect bad behavior into good behaviors. Warm talk, anecdotes, stories, get to know me, get to know them. Yeah. What you do or don't do with that dog, how you handle that dog,
how you think and feel and what you do with your thoughts and feelings around that dog. And it's going to be for the rest of that dog's life.
You can't just unplug the corgi and plug him back in. You know, I'm going to be open and honest about it. And that was like watching art